Hello, and welcome to this lesson video for the specific topic of Pisces. This is actually the first actual health lesson, not just class introduction or getting to know each other that we're going to be getting. This is being recorded in September of 2023 for the Arts Academy at Benjamin Rush, but other teachers can absolutely use it for their educational experiences with their students. For my students, the purpose of this lesson is in case you are absent or you would like to go back and look at it again, as well as for parents to be able to look at to see what it is that your children are learning. So what you're looking at right now is the Wellness and Core Content Unit page. It's part of the Health Education course. You can see some assignments on the right-hand side. We're going to actually be giving you the Wellness Pisces Brainstorm Project in class. If you are absent, it was given to you on day 1 or 2 of this unit. And we're going to be working on specific things having to do with a topic today called Pisces. So let's specifically go to that page in our website and be able to start our information. On the website, it has a summary of the notes, but we're going to teach you from this slideshow right here. So going to the slideshow, here we go. You were asked as you entered if you were in class to define healthy or health and wellness. And with those terms, of course, you were given time in the beginning of the class to go through those, but since this is a lesson video, we're just going through it real fast. Healthy more or less means being free from disease. It's generally just speaking about physical things, while wellness is optimum health. It's in all areas of oneself. So optimum health. And what are the areas, you ask? Well, we make a little acronym called PISES. It was actually given to me by a guy named Dr. Evil, not Dr. Evil. He was a professor of mine at Temple University. And he went through this acronym to be able to modernize it. It used to be that we only looked at 3 areas, but this modernized it and made it increase to 5 different areas. The P stands for physical, the I stands for intellectual, the S stands for social, the E stands for emotional, and the S stands for spiritual. I'm more or less going to go through these fast because you can always pause this video whenever you'd like to if you're watching it. And in class, you had an opportunity to go through this independently or in small groups, and then your teacher reviewed it with you. Either myself, Mr. Doyle, or if this is being viewed at a different school, whoever your health teacher is. So, what we're really talking about is a wellness wheel. You may have seen before in older textbooks a triangle that talks about physical, emotional, and social health, and that is absolutely true, but you can go and look at this wheel and see that it's 5 sections. And why do we select a wheel? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One, with the 5 areas, we can see that with wellness as opposed to health, each of the 5 areas has to work together in tandem for you to be able to reach your optimal wellness, or rather that is healthy in each of the areas. If one of the areas is out of sync or one of the areas is not doing well, it's going to show up in other areas as well. And the other reason why it's a wheel is because you can arguably place any one of these 5 things as the most important. So there's not really any foundation. There's not really any one that's more important than the others. Although you're going to hear me suggest that some are more important, but it's debatable which one actually is. You'll also notice that if you are going through the class website and you do click on one of the other wellness wheels from the different universities that are focused here, you might see additional sections. Like this one has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different sections as opposed to 5. They also add environmental health and financial health to the equation. But for the most part, you could also see occupational health or educational health, but all of them have the 5 that we mentioned. They're all listed as the 5. So the following slides give basic definitions. If you are in class, you were given a project to be able to look at with your group to be able to go through it more specifically. But since you are watching this, you either needed more assistance with it and you couldn't follow along on your own, or you just think it's better watching a video than looking at a slideshow. So let's go through it again. The P stands for physical health. Your physical health involves your body. It's arguably the one that we spend the most time on keeping healthy and the one we think about the most often, but realistically, it is just talking about your body. You go to a doctor and they're going for a checkup. They're asking you if you feel sick. They take your temperature, they check your vision, they check your hearing, they ask you how you feel. It's asking you whether you're sick or not. So that's why we're saying that health is being free from disease, and that's when it's only talking about physical health. Lately, there has been a push towards emotional health and mental health, and we'll get to that in a moment, because the I stands for intellectual, which relates to your mind, your thoughts, your thinking, the thinking process, your learning, knowledge, your intelligences that we'll get into. You might hear my dog in the background. I'm sorry for that. But your intelligences, we're going to look at Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences later in this unit. This section can arguably also include sense of self, so personality, who I am right now, my identity. But we'll talk about that again as we talk later on in this unit. And it's arguably the one we take for granted the most. It's arguably the one we take for granted the most. You spend a lot of time in school in your life, 7 hours and 4 minutes a day, 5 days a week, more or less, from September to June. But realistically, every minute of every day, we're learning and we're thinking and we have these thoughts. And so intellectual health is all about what we're thinking, our thinking process, how we're learning, the knowledge that we know, how do we obtain new knowledge, and what are we intelligent with? Where are our intelligences? The first S stands for social. Social, excuse me. Social is it just means relationships or group interactions. So knowing how to act in different situations, and it's arguably the most visual. It's the one that we see the most. We see how people treat others. When we talk about sense of self, we'll come back to social health and talk about character, attitude, and behavior. And we'll talk about those things. That's social health. If you're looking at the slideshow, you can watch these two video clips. One of them is how you would act in a movie theater and how you would act when the Eagles win the Super Bowl. The E stands for emotional health. It's how you express your feelings, cope with difficulties, manage your stress, sense of self. Again, so we could go with the intellectual section, or we can go with this section. And it's arguably the most important. So what's up with that? Why do I say that? Today's youth have a major difficulty coping with life's challenges. Not just young people, but people in general need to learn how to do stress management. And mental health is essentially a combination of intellectual health and emotional health together. So it is important, and doctors are talking more about mental health, they are talking more about emotional health, but it's arguably the most important one to talk about because most other healthy decisions I have found over the last 13 years here at Rush are influenced tremendously by our emotional and mental health. In fact, intellectual, social, and emotional health for today's team can be argued that a large portion of the time, one's physical health is most affected by what's happening in these three areas. So it's important for us to take that into consideration as we progress through this health class. There's still one more. It's often misunderstood. We oftentimes hear the word spiritual health, you immediately think about religion, but that's not what it is. It's values, morals, virtues, beliefs. More or less what's right and wrong in different situations, and it's arguably the most dangerous. There's a different lesson, and thus a different lesson video having to do with why it's arguably the most dangerous. But for the time being, your project was about what we just reviewed right here. you just watched this video, you can go back and pause it or go back and look at the slideshow on your own, and make sure that you look at Google Classroom if you're part of Mr. Karabi's class and be able to finish what you're doing with this particular project. Thank you. Have a great day.